If you are a business owner and you are wondering if you should take your pop-up or e-commerce business to the next level with a physical brick and mortar storefront, this episode is for you. Hello, and welcome to the Self-Starter Podcast, where I'll be sharing the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to building a product-based business. I'm Sarah Brithinee, and I started my business making beaded bracelets in my living room. Over the last 8 years, I've turned it into 2 successful businesses with over 10 team members and a busy storefront. Needless to say, I've learned a lot along the way. This show is for no gatekeeping and no fluff. Just the lessons I've learned, the mistakes I've made, some funny stories I've gathered along the way, and the honest truths you need to hear. We'll talk about the big decisions, the moments no one can prepare you for, and those times you realize that it's worth all the sleepless nights. Think of me as your business big sister, here to cheer you on while you build a business that truly feels like you. If that sounds like what you need, you are in the right place. Let's get into it. In today's episode, I want to help you weigh the pros and cons of opening a storefront. If it is something that you have been thinking about, there is so much that goes into it that I think people don't realize. And I just want to help guide you in the right direction because it is a very big undertaking. I opened my first storefront at the end of 2022. I opened my second one at the end of 2023. And then I closed my first one at the beginning of 2025. And I now currently have one storefront that is open. I have had 5 commercial leases over the years. 2 of them were minor-ish renovations. One of them was a full gut job. One of them was a developer-sponsored build-out. One of them was a co-working space. So there have been a plethora of different ways that I have rented space. 2 of those leases have been my storefronts, and that were actually customer-facing retail spaces. One of them was an office, but it was technically a retail space. We just weren't operating it as a storefront all the time. We just did a pop-up out of it. There are a ton of pros when it comes to opening a storefront, like increased visibility, people walking by and seeing your brand or seeing your storefront, or even if they're driving by and they see your business name, they can look you up. It's people that you're getting in front of that you wouldn't normally be getting in front of, having some brand recognition for you. One of the big ones for me is your customer experience. Branding is a huge thing for me, and I think that having a very specific brand experience is important for me. And so being able to create the exact experience I want, the exact look and feeling of my store, from the decor to the music to how my team treats people, everything about the store can be curated for your brand, where if you're popping up somewhere else, you're just counting on their branding. Or if you are online, you have your website, obviously, which does reflect your brand, but it's not the same as being immersed inside of a storefront. One thing I have really noticed when we're at pop-ups or at markets is when people ask if we have a storefront, they're so relieved, and it just builds credibility, and I find that they trust us more. And I think that's because they'll ask, like, if I want to exchange this, or they're buying a gift and they're not sure if it's quite right, or they change their mind and they want to return something. Or for our permanent jewelry side of things, if they need to cut it off, how do they get it reconnected? They have so much peace knowing exactly where they can find us and what our hours are, as opposed to having to chase us around at different pop-ups. Our average order value is higher in our store than it is online, and I think that's because when people can feel and touch and just look at things in person, it's a completely different experience than just looking at photos on a website. No matter how beautiful those photos are, it's totally different than it is looking at the actual product. And then lastly, just gaining that community loyalty, having a presence in the community, being able to pour into your local community, and then also just building relationships with customers. We have a lot of regular customers. A lot of my team knows who the regular customers are, and we have worked to build that credibility and that loyalty in the community. All right, now that I have completely hyped this up to you, let's talk about the cons, which the biggest one is cost. So we have our rent, utilities, insurance, and then staffing is by far the largest expense we have. There are also a lot of smaller costs that do add up, including things like your music subscription, your alarm system, cleaning supplies. All of those tiny things do add up month over month. Having a physical storefront is a much larger hands-on undertaking than having pop-ups or an e-commerce business, simply because you need to be there and make sure that everything is running smoothly, especially at first. Even if you outsource all of the shifts, you do still need to be there to make sure everything is merchandised correctly, your inventory is up to date. There's just a lot of moving pieces when it comes to that, so it is a much larger hands-on involvement. Speaking of long hours, it also affects if you want to do pop-ups or markets, because we are open 7 days a week, so we don't have the flexibility to just close the store. I mean, we could, but we don't want to close the store. We want to be a consistent presence there. So you definitely have to make decisions. You have a little bit less flexibility if you are open with regular hours. Operations is also a massive part of the business, and in my opinion, one of the absolute hardest. Staffing specifically, we have pretty low turnover, especially in the retail space, but we have a lot of girls that are in college, so their school schedules will change, and we're just always kind of adjusting things. We don't have just a set schedule every week, which would make things much easier. And then because I do have a full team and there's different people's hands in a lot of different aspects of my business, just trying to make sure that everything is correct as far as the inventory, the customer service, every single customer is taken care of all the time. Those things are just harder to keep up with. Lastly, there is more risk. There's just no way to sugarcoat that. That's just how it is. Committing to a lease is risky. Investing money into a build out if you want or need to do that, investing in all of the fixtures that work for that specific space. There's just a lot of factors that go into it, and you have to be able to weather the storm for slow seasons or the weather being bad. There's just a lot of unexpected things that can happen that would affect your sales. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit more even keeled now that we talked about the pros and the cons. Now, let's just go through some of the things to consider before you open a storefront. The number one thing I tell every single person is to look at your financials. See if you would still be able to pay the lease, even if your sales don't go up exponentially. You cannot count on anything really. You can do your absolute best, but you can't count on your sales 10xing just because you open a storefront. That's just not how it works. You'll want to have enough money for your lease and then also your staff. So can you still pay your staff if sales are slow? I would go through and make a budget and just see where you're at, how much you can truly afford, and don't go above that, because then you're going to be stressed out about it, and it's so much harder to be creative and make tons of money when you're stressed out. Having an amazing location is key in getting your name out there, getting a ton of foot traffic and new people into your storefront. I definitely would not settle for a bad location. My first storefront was in a not really walkable location, so we got basically no foot traffic. We were counting on people coming in who were coming for us, which it was fine, but I know that we could have done even better in that storefront had we gotten foot traffic as well. Another important factor to weigh is this what you want? I know how tempting it is to kind of follow what everyone is doing. You see a lot of people opening storefronts. It looks really fun and glamorous, but is that what you want to be spending your time doing? Are you going to be working at the store? Are you going to be staffing it? What kind of hours would it be open? If it's open 7 days a week, is that something that you want to be doing? Even if you're not working there, is that something you want to be managing? So just truly weigh if running a storefront aligns with your long-term life and business goals. If you have a pop-up business that you do locally, or if you have an e-commerce business and you can run the reports on your local sales, that's a really good indicator if you have a lot of loyal customers and a really good base to start off with. Because if you don't have that, it's going to be hard to open up a new business and kind of build that community from nothing. It'll be harder. It's absolutely possible, but it's definitely harder than it is if you already have a consistent business and kind of revenue that you would be able to move into the storefront. And then lastly, do you feel the pain of not being able to give your customers that customer experience that aligns with your brand? It's what I talked about earlier. Just being able to have them immersed in your brand and whatever that looks like. I mean, think about what that store would look like. What is your brand? Not a brand that you saw on Instagram that you thought was cute and you should do. What is your brand? It should be unique to you. It should be something that is not the same as every other person on the market. If you think that opening a storefront with your branding would attract your target market and really bring people in and enhance your brand and your business, then it could be a really good idea to have a storefront. Let's talk about a few of the signs that say you are ready to open a storefront. One, you have consistent business and people are asking where they can find you. They want to shop more. They want the flexibility of shopping whenever they want in their time and not have to find you at pop-ups or order online and pay for shipping or waiting for shipping. They want more of you, and the only way to give them more of you is to open up a permanent storefront. Another factor is if you are outgrowing your setup. So either your sales are higher, you need more space, and you're going to be renting space anyway, or if you're doing pop-ups and you cannot manage the amount of pop-ups that you have, or you're sick of bringing things and setting things up all the time, you have a team that supports you. A team is a big thing, or either a family member, a team, or somebody that's going to be there to support you, because opening a storefront is a lot of work and it's really hard to do by yourself. Another sign is that your business is consistently generating enough income to cover your expenses. That goes back to the budget that I was talking about earlier. Definitely create a budget, see what you would think that you need, and then go from there. Okay, that was a lot of information, and it was honestly just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to opening a storefront. I actually do have a full roadmap to opening a storefront. I will link it below in the show notes, and that is every single type of lease, and it literally goes A through Z, like what you would need to open a storefront, from picking contractors to types of leases, what to negotiate, how to build it out, all the things. So if you are in that stage of wanting to open your storefront, that roadmap is for you. I know that this episode went like really positive to kind of really negative, and we're ending up somewhere neutral. I do just want to say that at least for me, the pros far outweigh the cons. It is so fun having my storefront. I love that every time people walk in, they comment on how cute it is, or like, where did we get this fixture? Or they love the wallpaper, whatever it is. I absolutely love it, and I would not change it for the world. So don't take the negativity as me thinking that it's a bad idea to open one. I absolutely do not. I just also believe in calculated risk when it comes to your business. Taking risks in your business is how you reap the rewards of them. It's how you grow as a person and as a business owner. So I do think that it's really important, but I just also think that it's important to be calculated in those risks and not take unnecessary risks if you are not ready. My biggest piece of advice is if you are on the fence about this and you see a place come up, but you're just not quite sure or something feels off, take your time. There's no pressure to sign a lease or open a storefront today or this month or this year. You have time. If you're in this business for the long run, there's no rush to open a storefront. You can also start off smaller by doing a pop-up. I know some of the local malls near me will do pop-ups where you can rent a space for a shorter amount of time, or you could even rent a space with somebody else or do a salon suite. There are a lot of different options that you could do that are not as big of a commitment as a full space that's all to your own. All right, I hope that this episode was helpful for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I hope that I did not scare you off from this. If it's something that's on your heart, I hope that you pursue it. Let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. My DMs are always open. I am on Instagram at Brithinee. You can always message me on there. Please consider subscribing to this podcast if you have not already. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to grow and help as many entrepreneurs as I possibly can. And also give us a 5-star rating in your favorite podcast app. All right, friend, chat soon.